Idiopathic intracranial hypertension, also known as pseudotumor cerebri or benign intracranial hypertension, is an increased pressure around the brain without a clear cause. Obese females are more likely to have idiopathic intracranial hypertension, and you can remember the causes and risk factors using a simple mnemonic, which is female TOAD. First, the letter F in female can stand for three things: female, fat, and 40. Then, TOAD, T stands for tetracyclines, O for the oral contraceptive pills, and obesity, A for excess vitamin A, and D for danazole. Inside the brain, we have ventricles that contain the cerebrospinal fluid. The choroid plexus are the cells that produce this fluid. The fluid then moves through all the ventricles until it reaches the arachnoid granulations. These are the cells that take or absorb the CSF and drain it into the venous system to help regulate the brain pressure. In intracranial hypertension, this process is imbalanced. There is either increased production of CSF or decreased drainage, which leads to increased intracranial pressure, and this increase in pressure can damage structures of the CNS, especially the optic nerve fibers, leading to the clinical features we will talk about later. There are many theories explaining why this imbalance happens, but the cause is still unknown. As a result of increased intracranial pressure, the patient will develop a headache. This is usually the chief complaint. The headache increases with coughing and is worse in the morning and when lying down, and it improves with an upright position. The headache can also be associated with nausea and vomiting. Because of the increased pressure, many structures can be compressed, especially sensitive ones like the abducens nerve. This leads to sixth cranial nerve palsy, which presents as diplopia or double vision, and esotropia. Another structure that can be affected is the blood supply to the optic nerve. This leads to papilledema or optic disc swelling. Over time, if not treated, it can progress to visual loss or blindness. As mentioned in the pathophysiology, arachnoid granulations normally drain the CSF into the venous system to regulate the intracranial pressure. When CSF drains into the venous system, it can cause turbulence in the venous sinuses, which leads to pulsatile tinnitus, where the patient hears a whooshing sound or a rushing water sound. For diagnosis, we must do a visual examination, including fundoscopy and a visual acuity testing. A brain MRI is done to rule out masses, and in intracranial hypertension, the MRI findings are usually normal. After ruling out masses, a lumbar puncture can be done. In idiopathic intracranial hypertension, the findings are usually an increased opening pressure and a temporary improvement in headache. In fact, lumbar puncture can be both diagnostic and sometimes therapeutic. It's important to remember that lumbar puncture should only be done after ruling out masses. This is because releasing the pressure during the procedure can cause the mass to shift and lead to brain herniation. The management includes lifestyle modifications, medical management, and if conservative management failed, we have surgical management. For lifestyle modifications, weight loss, especially at least 10% of body weight, stopping any offending agent, and reducing sodium intake. For medical management, acetazolamide, which decreases the production of CSF, is the first line. You can add furosemide if acetazolamide alone is not effective. For surgical management, we have serial lumbar punctures, CSF shunting, optic nerve sheath fenestration to reduce papilledema.
If you have any feedback or ideas to help us improve the channel, let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching.